Revolutionary greetings, comrades. We today in this video are discussing the cross-border trade between Zimbabwe and Zambia. I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mabena. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and thanks once again to those that have subscribed to this YouTube channel. Please ask your friends to also subscribe so that we widen the discussion on the topics that we are discussing in this YouTube channel. Historically, Zimbabwe and Zambia are one people. This is, you will know that there was once a federation in 1953, if I'm not mistaken. It was Northern Rhodesia, Southern Rhodesia, and the Nyasaland, now Malawi. Northern Rhodesia was Zambia, Southern Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and then Nyasaland. It was a federation which lasted for 10 years. The federation was established to counter or to compete with the South Africa. By that time, the Afrikaners had won political power in the 1948 elections in South Africa, and they were introducing apartheid. And the English in South Africa had lost the political power because in Southern Rhodesia, then and Northern Rhodesia, it was not the Afrikaners that were in charge, it was the English. So the English then wanted to create uh, another market, so to speak, to isolate South Africa, which was under now the leadership of the Afrikaner following the 1948 elections. So that federation lasted for 10 years after it collapsed in 1963, 1964, around that time. Zambia, Northern Rhodesia by then, and the Nyasaland, Malawi gained their independence. It was Southern Rhodesia that did not gain its independence. You will then recall that on the 11th of November 1965, Ian Douglas Smith declared unilateral, what is called UDI, Unilateral Declaration of Independence, declaring independence from the British. Uh, and in our discussion, when we're discussing the Zimbabwe Communist Party program, we characterized that period as a colonialism of a special type, and which the South African Communist Party did do the same or characterize South Africa as a colonialism of a special type, and we're saying there was no difference between Zimbabwe or Southern Rhodesia and South Africa because the whites that had colonized us wanted to establish a home. They did not want to do like what the French did in West Africa, which we've discussed in this YouTube channel, where they will simply exploit minerals and other resources and go back to their countries of origin. But in Southern Rhodesia and in South Africa, the white settlers wanted to build a home. This was their home. We spoke about the infrastructure in this part of the world, particularly in South Africa and in Southern Rhodesia. We always talk about the infrastructure in Zimbabwe that was built by the Rhodesians. So that was colonialism of a special type. Colonialism of a special type in that the colonized and the colonizers lived together in one territory. So that's the history that the two countries have. But of course, there are others, historians that argue that King Lopengula, when he was disposed in 1893, some argue that he crossed the river, Zambezi River, to Zambia. Some historians say his grave is on the Zambian side. I am not sure, but this is what other historians are saying. And of course, and we have the Tonga people on the Zimbabwean side and the Tonga people on the Zambian side, the Nambian people on the Zimbabwean side, and the Nambia people on the Zambian side. So you have this relationship you have families that are divided by mighty Zambezi River. And, and of course, Zambia hosted the liberation movement in Lusaka. Zipra trained, or Zipra and ZAP were housed in Lusaka during the liberation struggle. ZANU was also housed in Zambia until the death of Comrade Chitepo, who died under mysterious circumstances. You will know when I think we discussed this in one video, the Nari rebellion, and how then part of the leadership of ZANU were arrested over the death of Chitepo, and then they were forced to move out of Zambia. But indeed, Zambia played a key role in hosting the liberation movement, or the Zimbabwean liberation movement, or on its soil. This all then affected the Zambian economy. Hosting the liberation movements, not only from Zimbabwe, but across the continent. South African liberation movement, Angola, and so on and so on, Namibia, SWAPO. It actually affected the economy of Zambia to an extent that the economy performed poorly. I remember when I visited Zambia in 1991. It was at the time when Frederick Chiluba was campaigning. I couldn't believe that a kwacha would not, you will actually buy bread in millions of kwacha. It was a first for me. And I never thought that that experience was going to visit Zimbabwe. We crossed Livingstone. We took a train from Bulawayo. That was 1991. Disembarked in Victoria Falls. We got transport to Livingstone. I was carrying, I remember that time, 200 Zim dollars in my wallet when we changed in the black market in Livingstone. The money that I was carrying needed a plastic bag because it couldn't fit in my wallet. We went up to Lusaka. I think I went thrice in 1991 visiting Zambia, and the situation was bad. I went to a furniture shop where a launch suit was priced in millions or in billions. That was the inflation. But of late, the economy of Zambia has greatly improved. But before we get to this, at that time in 1991, people from Zambia were coming across to Victoria Falls to buy goods. They would buy meal, they would buy bread, they would buy almost everything, groceries on the Zimbabwean side. While Zimbabweans will go there, they will buy this African attire, is called tile dye. I think that's the correct name. And Comrade Prudence Mbofu, yes, I did go to Zambia in 1991. I stayed at that time. I was staying in Lopengula West in Bulawayo. So our neighbor was of Zambian origin. So she will go with us, with my sisters. So I will accompany them to Zambia. So that's why I ended up going to Livingstone and to Lusaka in 1991. So at that time, Zimbabweans were buying these tiles, Zambian material, selling on the Zimbabwean market, while Zambians were buying groceries in Zimbabwe. So when you went to Victoria Falls, you will meet them there. But of course, under Chiluba, the economy did not really improve much. But what happened was when Chiluba took over, 3 years later, South Africa became, should I say, independent or a democratic breakthrough, as we communists define it. Though, of course, comrades in the ANC, they say it's freedom. Let's use freedom for the purposes of this video. So when South Africa gained her freedom in 1994, informal trade increased between South Africa and Zimbabwe. But of course, this informal trade, cross-border trade, has always been one way in the most cases where Zimbabweans would cross to buy products in South Africa. as they would cross to buy products in Francistown. But in Francistown, Botswana, I know they will order bedding material, your blankets, your bed sheets, your bathing soap. They will go and sell in Francistown in the main. Some, of course, will go up to Haberon. Then they will buy maybe spare parts, cars, spare parts in Botswana for resale in Zimbabwe, and the other electrical goods which were bought in Botswana. So that has been the trade. Post 1994, Zimbabweans concentrated in trading or in buying goods in South Africa, because you will know that the Economic Structure Adjustment Program was introduced in 1991, which we've discussed in this YouTube channel, led to massive job losers. And the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions assisted the retrenched workers to earn a living in the informal sector. This is why you will recall that we discussed that the International Labour Organization, ILO, adopted Resolution 204, I think it was 2015, where it speaks about formalizing the formal economy. So the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions played a key role when its members lost jobs, to assist them to set up in the informal sector, so that they will be able to continue to earn a living. So these people in the main, or the workers that were retrenched, they will then flock to South Africa to buy products for resale in Zimbabwe. But we saw an increase, particularly after 2000, particularly 2002, and then the height of this cross-border was in 2007, 2008, when Zimbabwean supermarkets did not have anything. So we'll buy everything from fuel and to from South Africa or Botswana, groceries, but you will not have South Africans going to Zimbabwe to buy products. This is what makes the cross-border trade between Zimbabwe and South Africa different, because in the case of South Africans, you will not, say in Musina, see South Africans crossing the border to buy goods. You will not find them in Bedbridge or in Kwanda or Maswingo going to buy products which are not available in South Africa, as compared to Zambians who will cross to buy goods in Victoria Falls. Some they will go as far as Bulawayo, but the shopping was more in Victoria Falls. Comrade Prudence Moyo says here, Itai and the dye material, thanks. Then she says 1980 Zimbabwe currency was stronger than both Botswana and Zambia, including SA. That's correct. And Comrade Pilani and Ndlovu says, I was at school by then. I still remember all that. I used to listen to the news. So the cross-border trade between Zimbabwe and South Africa, which we are arguing that it was one way down. You did not have South Africans going to Zimbabwe to buy goods. Zimbabweans would come and buy goods in South Africa. This led to the South African capital making a kill, profiting from the cross-border trade. If you ask anyone who visited Musina, say around 2004, 2005, Musina town was not as beautiful as it is today. That infrastructure, including the Musina Mall and all the infrastructure that you see in the shops that you see in Musina today, because of the influx of the cross-border traders from Zimbabwe who will come and buy goods in Musina, it benefited the South African capital. They made a killing, they made huge profits from Zimbabwean cross-border traders. Zimbabweans will cross in the morning. I'm recording this. It's a morning. What's the time? It's 9:43. They will obviously have crossed, most of them, to Musina, doing shopping. Then in the evening, they'll be going back to Zimbabwe. They'll be coming all the way from Gweru, Harare, Bulawayo. Of course, some in Bulawayo, they go to Francistown. You'll also find a queue from people at the Botswana, Zimbabwe border who will be going to Francistown to shop there. But this seems to be changing in the last few months. And we are monitoring this change. What is happening? What is happening currently is that there's an increase of cross-border trade between Zimbabwe and Zambia. What is interesting is that Zimbabweans now flock to Livingstone to buy products in Zambia. They will go and buy products for breakfast. I'm told there's this porridge which is manufactured in Zambia. They will buy women. They will buy wigs in Zambia. They will buy. I was told when I was in Bulawayo recently, they will be buying all these makeups and other stuff for women. So there's an increase in trade. People in Victoria Falls, because it's a border town, they don't farm, and the agriculture in that area is problematic. They will buy. They were telling me about the 25 kg meal that they buy from Livingstone. And I remember during the land reform program, white commercial farmers crossed to Zambia, where they continued practicing agriculture. And Zimbabweans are now going to Zambia to buy a meal in Zambia. But what is interesting is that Zambians also cross to Victoria Falls to buy mazoe. You know, mazoe is one of the best juice that is produced within Southern Africa. It is far much better than other juices that I have seen. So Zambians also cross to Zimbabwe in Victoria Falls to buy products like mazoe, Zimbabwean biscuits, and other products. And also Zimbabweans, they go to Zambia to buy products. The kwacha today is stronger than the South African rand. So the people that the majority of them used to flock to Musina to buy products are now flocking to buy products in Zambia. While the South African government is talking about border management to an extent where you now have guards that are at the border, patrolling to ensure that people do not cross the border illegally to South Africa. But we are seeing a steady rise or rise of cross-border trade between Zambia and South Africa. And I'm told that Victoria Falls, the rand is no longer popular as it used to be popular. What is popular at Victoria Falls when you go there, it is the US dollar and the kwacha. So if, say, you are working in South Africa, you are able to renew your permit to move to another visa, you might want to start the cross-border trade between Zambia and Zimbabwe. You might get into the informal sector or into cross-border trade. You can buy products in Zimbabwe for resale in Lusaka, and you buy products in Lusaka which are in short supply on the Zimbabwean market for resale on the Zimbabwean market. So because it's a two-way trade, it is not one-way trade, which is currently the case where I'm yet to meet, unless South Africans would then want to go and buy gold, which of course is illegal on the Zimbabwean side. But in the main, you will not at the border meet South Africans that are coming from Zimbabwe that are buying goods from Zimbabwe for use in South Africa. It is very rare. I'm not saying they are not there, but it is very rare. But it is popular between Zimbabweans and Zambians to cross one other's border to buy goods which are not available on one's market. So that is an interest. So we expect that this will increase as the more anti-migrant sentiments are expressed in South Africa. What we're seeing on television, the chasing of undocumented migrants, because the people now feel, the cross-border traders feel that it is no longer really safe for cross-border traders to come to South Africa because of the anti-migrant sentiments. So you are certainly likely to see a shift between South Africa and Zimbabwe. I mean, a shift between the cross-border traders between South Africa and Zimbabwe, which now the cross-border trade is more concentrated on Victoria Falls border town, where there's now an activity between Zimbabwe and Zambia. And because the Zambian kwacha is strong at the moment, so it makes a lot of economic sense. So if this trend then continues and you have a rise, naturally, the capitalists in Limpopo, particularly in Musina, are going to lose out on their traditional customers that were coming from Zimbabwe to buy goods on the South African market. So, like I'm saying, that you might not be able to renew your permit, but you can plan, do a research on what goods you can buy from Zimbabwe and resell in Zambia, and the goods that are you can buy on the Zambian market and resell in Zimbabwe. Of course, some Zimbabweans are now going to work in Zambia. I've not really done a study on the documentation requirements in Zambia. I will have to study the Immigration Act in Zambia, but I know that you have now an increase of Zimbabweans that are working in Zambia. As I move to conclusion, let me read this. Comrade Pilaning and Nkosindlov says South African economy is boosted by Zimbabwean cross-border traders, and now Messina has grown. And also have a look on goods loaded at Esibayeni, Bramfontein bus terminal. All that is brought in South Africa. Yes, of course, South Africa continues to benefit from the collapsed Zimbabwean economy. We buy goods in millions. And you remember in one video, we said when we're in Hebrew, we're asking the value of the goods that are being transported to Zimbabwe from South Africa. And what is different is that it is Zimbabweans that work in these factories, most of them. The goods manufactured here, they have a market in Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe is a South African supermarket. But we are monitoring this shift in the cross-border trade. What we will do in terms of research, because I heard that President Mnangagwa, I think last week, he visited Mozambique and Zambia to see at that level the trade that is the at a corporate level the trade between Zambia and Zimbabwe. We will certainly study that. Currently, there are no anti-migrant sentiments against the Zimbabweans in Zambia. So it is safer. It is safer for the Zimbabweans cross-border traders to go and buy goods and sell goods in Zambia. And it is also cheaper or easier for Zambians to cross to Zimbabwean side in Victoria Falls, because in Zimbabwe there's no anti migrant sentiments as compared to what is we see in South Africa. And Comrade George Mine says Limpopo is slowly losing out. A lot of people are now stocking in Harare. Zimbabwe is now producing its food, thanks. And Comrade Pilaning Nkosindlov says Mr. Mapena also had also a shift of Zimbabwe traders to Namibia. Yes, there are also Zimbabweans that work in Namibia and the cross-border traders that go to Namibia. Please share with us your own experiences. Please write in the comment section. I am Ngabuto Mapena. Please like the video, circulate your contacts, and please subscribe. Thank you so much. Goodbye.